Jamaica Mountain Peak Golden Turmeric Latte is
12 p.m.
It's Wednesday, May 22, 2024. Welcome to CVM News at noon. I'm Ramon Gordon. We begin on a somber note. Sports journalist at the Gleaner, Job Nelson, was last evening tragically shot and killed. Reports indicate Nelson stopped at a traffic light on Spanish Town Road when criminals opened fire on him. He attempted to flee but crashed into a utility pole. Passers-by rushed him to the Kingston Public Hospital, but sadly, efforts to save him were unsuccessful. Investigations into the incident are ongoing. Meanwhile, in a statement condemning the attack, the Press Association of Jamaica expressed shock and outrage, demanding accountability and justice. PAJ President Milton Walker says his death is a profound loss to the journalism community, and he urges the authorities to expedite their investigation and to spare no effort in bringing Job's killers to justice. In extending condolences to his family, the PAJ says Job was an esteemed member of the media fraternity who made invaluable contributions to various publications throughout his career, including the Jamaica Record, the Herald, X News, Loop, and the Jamaica Gleaner. His versatile skills spans reporter, sub-editor, and page planner in his 35 years of service in media. He is remembered for his kind, affable demeanor and his ever-present smile. The entire CVM television expresses condolences to Mr. Nelson's family and colleagues at the RGR Gleaner Communications Group. And 9 people, including 5 women, were shot, 1 fatally, in the vicinity of Grandspin Road and Shortwood Road in St. Andrew. The dead woman has not been formally identified. The police say this happened shortly after 11 Thursday night. Preliminary reports indicate the victims were at a bar when gunmen entered and opened fire. It's understood police are now combing the scene. We'll, of course, have more in CVM News at 7. Now, the eagerly anticipated report from the Constitutional Reform Committee, CRC, is finally here, outlining 50 transformative recommendations aimed at steering Jamaica towards republic status. The Andrew Holness government tabled the report in the nation's parliament late last evening. Chief among the proposed changes is the establishment of the position of president to replace the governor general according to the CRC's recommendations. The president would be nominated and agreed upon by both the prime minister and the opposition leader. The CRC suggests granting the president specific decision-making powers independent of the cabinet to enhance executive authority. Additionally, the proposed term for the president would be set at 7 years, with the possibility of a 5-year extension, ensuring stability and continuity in leadership. We'll have more on the report in CVM's lead story with George Davis at 6:30 p.m. and CVM News at 7. Still on constitutional matters, there's an ongoing discussion around removing the Privy Council as Jamaica's final court. Prime Minister Andrew Holness has suggested that the Court of Appeal could replace the Privy Council in this role. Speaking on lead story yesterday, attorney at law John Clark and senior lecturer in the Institute of Gender and Development Studies at the University of the West Indies, Dr. Maziki Thame, says there must be careful deliberation before making such a move.
We have to think about it in longer political context as well, in relation to the referendum of 1961, yes, in which the Bustamante administration was using the referendum as a way to get people involved, but specifically to get them involved because he understood that the Jamaican people were not necessarily sufficiently politically savvy, aware, and able to make a decision at that level. And he reasoned that they would choose not to go with the Caribbean in the Federation. Yes. And I think that that is the kind of thinking that is informing Andrew Holness in this moment, because his political identity is tied to the Bustamante, Edward Seaga eras, the idea that Jamaica is with the West, that Caribbean integration is not necessarily favorable.
And what is of concern to me, and of grave concern, especially because at JFG we would receive numerous letters from prisoners who are in prison and who say, yes, we have a serious concern with how our judgment was dealt with by the Court of Appeal. How do we afford the $30 million that we need to do just to get justice at the Privy Council? And for many of these Jamaicans, the access door of justice is closed, slam in their face, simply on the financial criteria. And one would hope that our leaders, when they're making this decision, would appreciate that there are Jamaicans right now as we speak tonight who are in prison, who say they want a final appellate court to decide their issue, but they just don't have the bread, they don't have the butter to access the final appellate court. So whilst we diddle and daddle, we must never forget that there are peoples whose very liberty, and in some cases life, because you have Jamaicans who have died in custody, awaiting justice, whose very life depends on this answer.
More than a week after the disappearance of an educator, stakeholders mounted a protest outside her Kingston-based school Tuesday, appealing for her safe return. Trisha Kelly has more.
This is St. Peter Claver Primary and Infant School, the institution at which 29-year-old Danielle Angling carries out her public servant duties as a grade 4 teacher. However, she has not been seen or heard from since last Monday, May 13. On Tuesday, May 21, parents, students, family members, and concerned residents gathered outside the school, demanding her safe return.
So we really need her and we miss her, and we're just asking for anybody who have her or anybody know the whereabouts of her to just contact the police and who don't mind she return to us, because we need her. She's a good teacher and we really need her for our grade 4 students and the rest of colleagues on the school compound and so forth. She's a teacher to many, not just grade 4, but she's a teacher to many and others out there.
Our teacher, my son teacher, and I miss her really, really bad. So please, anywhere she's there, please, may I beg you, please, just carry her overseas. Please, may I beg you. She's a nice teacher, she's a good teacher, she's for everybody. So please send her home safe and sound, please.
She's just a very humble and simple person. So for someone to take her away like that and nothing at all, no family member can hear nothing at all about her, no one, even the students here miss her, it is very sad.
Her uncle, who was also at the protest, told the media he believes a mistake has been made.
One of the most, caring person in the world, and to take her like this, I think you make a mistake. So make the wrong and do the cancel the wrong and do the right, and just return her back home to her family and her friends and our school and our students.
The children also joined in with their own heartfelt plea. Reports from the Helsha police are that she was last seen at home at about 5:50 Monday morning. All efforts to contact her since have been unsuccessful. Trisha Kelly, CVM News.
CVM News at noon returns after this.
And minute every rubbish in a pan. No dirty up the place, this a we island. So keep Jamaica, say me could do it, keep Jamaica clean. Beg you listen to me please. No plastic bag, no fear blowing at the breeze. No proper garbage, disposal, recycle plastic, now make it full up in the streets. Bag it and bin it every rubbish in a pan. No dirty up the place, this a we island. So keep Jamaica, say me could do it. A message from the National Solid Waste Management Authority.
I'm Tara Monique from Lashal Cosmetics, Jamaica's only vegan organic makeup brand. We are the exclusive makeup sponsors for this year's MSW events 14-14-14 Mask Wedding. Our talented team of makeup artists will be providing complimentary bridal makeup services for all brides, and we're so excited. So, if you have a wedding coming up, you can find us at LashalCosmetics.com or on Instagram at LashalCosmetics.
Rain just fall and the place feel cold. Hey, check that place you mold. Weird spots on wall and the place smell bold. Hey, check that place you mold. It affects the young, it affects the old. Hey, check that place you mold. Call hygiene and make we roll. Hey, check that place you mold. Get your mold inspection done today.
Call us today to inquire at 876-630-2572. Hygiene. It's simple. We clean to the core.
Welcome back. You're watching CVM News at noon. Now, in celebration of Workers' Week, the Ministry of Labour is hosting an expo today promoting inclusivity in the labour force. But the list of activities to celebrate the period does not end there. Here again is Trisha Gay Kelly.
It's all about inclusivity, nobody left behind. That's the Ministry of Labour's hope, not only for Labour Day, but in moving forward as a society. In honour of the Ministry's focus on accessibility for all Jamaicans this year, it's hosting a Workers' Week exposition on Wednesday, only a day before the Labour Day projects are set in motion. Minister of Culture Olivia Grange says the initiative is an opportunity to support vulnerable groups.
It will be advancing special needs for an inclusive labour market and discussion forum related to all services and providers, as well as support for persons with disabilities, seniors, et al.
But this is just one of the ministry's many efforts to celebrate the country's hard-working citizens. She says even more focus will be directed to senior citizens. The ministry has partnered with the African Caribbean Institute of Jamaica, ACIJ, also known as the Memory Bank, to preserve memories of local seniors.
The Senior Citizens Council have signed an MOU with the ACIJ to interview senior citizens, to interview older persons, to get their story, because Jamaica, we're great at oral history. And all these senior citizens, these older persons, they have great stories to tell.
Along with this initiative, the Culture Ministry will join in publishing a coffee table book featuring various seniors with their images and stories. All these plans, Grange explains, will bring across the government's interest and care for senior citizens.
There are a number of things that will come out of our efforts during Workers' Week and Labour Day that will go beyond the celebration of that week, but will be a lasting legacy to our efforts.
She's urging citizens to play their part and prove their interest by celebrating Labour Day as well as Workers' Week. Trisha Gay Kelly, CVM News.
With technology constantly changing, new opportunities have been presented, and the tourism sector is boasting its usage of them. As Trisha Gay Kelly reports, industry leaders have taken note.
Technology is often seen as a competitor and not an assistant. However, studies have shown that it has boosted the economy in various ways. The tourism industry in particular has experienced the many benefits it has to offer. For years, some people have blamed technology for destroying careers. But Minister of Tourism Edmund Bartlett says the industry really learned of its benefits during the pandemic.
The technology came in also. Virtualization and digitalization, all those two critical parts as we talk about technology. Mm-hmm. And we learned what it was to stay together apart and to work remotely. And suddenly the workers began to realize that they could earn more at home while taking care of their children.
But it wasn't always this way. There were trials and failures, as expressed by one stakeholder. World Bank Sustainable Development Program leader in the Caribbean, John Bryant Collier, says it's easier to manipulate technology now.
When we were children, we didn't have cell phones. We would have wires to the microphones on this stage, and no one would be looking at their computer or their cell phone while we're talking. At the same time, a lot of technology came around that didn't last.
We're now in the 21st century and technology could possibly be at its peak. Cayman Islands Minister of Tourism and Chairman of the Caribbean Tourism Organization, Kenneth Bryan, is encouraging citizens to embrace technology as it can be very beneficial to the tourism industry.
It's time for us to embrace it and try to figure out how to take advantage of it. And I think technology will allow us to be more efficient with the future, which allows us, when it comes to efficiency, my biggest fear is efficiency and then what happens to labor. But that allows us to transfer our labor into other areas that we can be better refined at.
Technology was a highlight in the discussion of sustainable development at the Caribbean Hotel and Tourism Association Symposium on Monday. Trisha Gay Kelly, CVM News.
CVM News at Noon returns after this break.
You can live life to the fullest with HIV. This time signal is brought to you by the Ministry of Health and Wellness. The time is
12:15.
You're watching CVM News at Noon. A look now at some business. Speaking at the Central Bank's quarterly monetary policy press conference on Tuesday, May 21, BOJ Governor Richard Biles announced that inflation is projected to exceed the upper end of the target range towards the end of the April to June quarter. The Bank of Jamaica BOJ noted that although the country's declining inflation rate is expected to be temporarily interrupted, it is projected to return to the BOJ's target range thereafter.
This decision reflects the committee's view that while inflation is continuing its downward trend, it is still not yet firmly anchored within the target range, and the risks to future inflation are skewed to the upside. Statin reported on Wednesday last week that Jamaica's annual headline inflation rate at April 2024 was 5.3%. which is within the bank's target range and lower than the rate recorded at March of 2024. I am part of the Jamaican public too, and I want to see rates come down, and I can see even more than many Jamaicans what impact it has on the economy and on the government. So believe you me, I want to see the rates come down, but we need at BOJ to be sure that all of the conditions are pointing in the right direction. And remember what I said, core inflation, we're watching that closely. Business expectations, we're watching that closely. And wage inflation, we're watching that closely. Those three things are going to have a powerful effect on what our decision is in the future.
Now to international news. Former U.S. President Donald Trump will not testify in his historic criminal trial after his defense team arrested their case on Tuesday. The details now from the BBC.
Both sides have now rested their case. The defense early Tuesday after calling two witnesses and Donald Trump deciding not to take the stand. That had been the major question looming over this weeks-long trial because Donald Trump had said publicly that he would, though legal analysts doubted throughout that he would actually take the risk, given he would be opening himself up to damaging questions by prosecutors. And ultimately, it is his Fifth Amendment right not to be compelled to be a witness against himself. The burden of proof is on prosecutors here. And the judge will instruct the jury not to hold it against Donald Trump. Now, Donald Trump said he thought his team presented a great case. He was joined in court by a large entourage of Republican politicians and his eldest son, Don Jr. Outside of court, Don Jr. was asked why his father didn't testify. He said that he wouldn't subject himself to it, that there was absolutely no reason and no justification for him to, slamming the case as a scam and a farce, repeating very much his father's talking points throughout this entire trial. Well, both sides will now have the long weekend to prepare for their closing arguments next Tuesday after the long holiday weekend. They spent Tuesday afternoon debating how the instructions to the jury would be formulated with the judge. So the judge